Yes, I already dropped off, so I'm ready to go once you
Good
are.
morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and give us about 5 minutes to let people trickle in. All right. Seems like we got a lot more people in. I'll go ahead and give it till 10:03 and then start. All right. Well, thank you all for attending. My name is Ethan Brown. I am a program manager here at FleetWorks. I'm going to hand this off to our director, Morgan, to go over 5 minutes to do a little introduction about us.
Thanks, Ethan. As he said, I'll do a quick introduction about FleetWorks and then also a couple notes that I want to hit before I turn things back over to Ethan. So, FleetWorks is a DefenseWorks innovation hub partnered with the Naval Postgraduate School, helping them spin in technologies that are of interest to the Navy, basically finding technologies, innovative technologies like the ones y'all have, bringing them in, letting Navy users try them out, figuring out ways to advance them and move them forward, and also spinning out technologies that are developed by NPS researchers by commercializing them out to industry through licenses, CRADAs, those kind of mechanisms. Today, we're looking at solutions focused around advanced manufacturing and advanced manufacturing networks. A couple notes that I want to hit before going back over to Ethan. We have Michael Radigan, who is joining us today. He wears a lot of hats for our organization. For today in this meeting, he will be Lieutenant Colonel Radigan for the Marine Innovation Unit. And also sharing his line is Chris Coran, the program manager for the Consortium for Advanced Manufacturing Research and Education for the Naval Postgraduate School. Chris is the PI for this project. So technical questions will go to him. Ethan and myself will answer programmatic questions as they come up. The other note that I wanted to hit is I would encourage you all to submit in a white paper for this, even if you feel that your solution may not be optimally scoped for the areas of interest because we've already had some inquiries from other government agencies about expanding out this project and adding in different capabilities. And there are highly likely to be orders coming in from units that we don't anticipate. So it may have to be more of a contract manufacturing type solicitations going out in the future. Having your white papers in makes it easier for us to reach out to relevant industry partners to address those kind of more one off short term requirements that come out of the project. With that, I'll turn things back over to Ethan.
Thank you, Morgan. So just a quick thing on the agenda before I toss it over to the government PI side. So they're going to do the problem statement introductions. Following that, we're going to give y'all opportunity to ask question and answers. There is a lot of people on this call, and if we are not able to answer all of them, please feel free to reach out to Fleetworks at info@fleetworks.org. And anything on the chat, we'll copy, paste it, and try to adjust in a follow-up email. Michael and Chris, are you guys ready?
Hey, good afternoon. Good morning to everyone on the call. Thank you very much for carving out some time and sitting with us. Looking forward to hearing more about your capabilities.
Yeah, hey, and Chris here in the passenger seat. We're apologize for this, but Ethan, Michael, and I are touring actually an aircraft carrier right now for metal advanced manufacturing temp install. So we're trying to fill as many time slots in our day as possible, but with meetings. But yeah, I'm not going to go heavy over the project objectives. I know we've talked a lot about it, but what we drive towards from Camry's perspective, based on our charter, is not just a Navy solution. We look hard at a tri-service maritime solution, so Navy, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, but that makes us joint within our DNA. And then when you get a Navy, Marine Corps team and Coast Guard, you are also bringing in aviation components, ground components, as well as surface components. So our spectrum gets larger and larger as we go out. And as a result of that, during RIMPAC 26, we are going to be probably a truly joint across the spectrum. I think the only thing we might not have is Space Force involved, if I look at my numbers correctly. So as you see that a program objective statement, when we say joint forces, we absolutely mean that. Obviously, we have a focus area, and I'm not going to go into great deals of like the geographic locations, but as you can see there, we're looking at a point of need requirement, how the joint force will support the warfighter in a contested environment with manufacturing capabilities. And, this is one of two exercises that will be involved in 2026. I even imagine a pop in of one or two more as a potentiality at a very small scope. So I back up what Morgan said is, please, if you don't think you are very good candidates for a particular aspect of it, go ahead and submit the white papers, get into the ecosystem, get into the announcements, because there will be opportunities for selected unfunded that could roll to funded at the right opportunity. Solutions of interest, as you see right there, we're very interested in wire DED and WAM technology. We're very interested in metal powder technology at large format and any other advanced manufacturing novel solutions, or any other things that enable advanced manufacturing novel solutions. We have a great deal of interest coming in some future offerings dealing with C2 systems and with digital infrastructure and AI ML. So we won't go heavy into that, but we will be very interested in your solutions as you present them. I'll hand it off from Mike to Michael, see if he wants to add anything to it.
Yeah, I'll just elaborate a bit on the novel solutions piece. As we're having all these conversations leading up to the exercises, the problem we're trying to solve is there tends to be shortfalls in the supply system, and some of those components are great candidates for advanced manufacturing. And just because we're here today out at an aircraft carrier, we're looking at solutions of all different sizes. Some of those may be land-based things that you can't move them. Some may be ultra-portable solutions for things that could go in vehicles. So we're really looking at the full spectrum of metal and polymer and other materials and circuit boards and all kinds of things that can help fill those gaps that the traditional supply system sometimes has trouble keeping up with. So let your mind expand. As Chris mentioned, there may be future offerings on the digital side of the house. Heat treatment is always of interest, how you support that in coatings. So really open up your aperture. If you have a unique capability, I'll reinforce, submit that white paper so that we're aware of it.
I just will add one more thing. One of our sponsors, if not both of our sponsors, maybe the second one doesn't quite know it as well as one of the sponsors, but we have had a major focus on metal, and as you can see up there, we are looking heavily at metal. But when we start talking about large format, it kind of brings us into the polymer and ceramics and the resin-based printing capability, as well as we look at unmanned systems that would support the constraints of logistics in a contested environment. So, in the novel solutions, if you've got some opportunities for polymers, go ahead and submit that as well, because we'd love to see it. It may not meet one sponsor's objective that this particular OSS is designed for, but it may trigger us to think about what we're doing in other efforts. So without going any further than that, I think that's enough to close Michael and I out at this end until further questions.
Thank you, Chris and Michael. One clarification question. So are we focusing on additive solutions strictly, or do we consider subtractive and novel subtractive solutions under advanced manufacturing?
Yeah, we consider subtractive in everything we do here, because I think it goes without saying it. Nine times out of 10 with metal, it's going to have a subtractive piece to it. So subtractive is very important as well.
Thank you. Well, let's turn it over to you guys. What questions do you guys have right now?
Hey, thanks, team. Patrick Tucker here from Phillips. Really excited about these opportunities here. One question I had is, do we know the site selection? I know there's numerous exercises potentially that these solutions would support, but I assume that RIMPAC Trident Warrior, kind of the Super Bowl of all of them. And so therefore, with RIMPAC Trident Warrior specifically, do we know what type of facility we had? As we know, in 24, we were at Kaneohe Bay. I don't know if we know exactly where we're at, because that can influence kind of the technologies that we suggest as it relates to, how mature the infrastructure or immature the infrastructure is, and then what that indicates as to what technology we would provide.
A great question. We have opportunities to do some expeditionary work. So I think you're going to see we've got spaces that are available that are very well filled out. So they've got power, they've got air conditioning, all that kind of stuff. And we have a couple other places to conduct experiments that are truly expeditionary. You'll be off a generator type of a deal. And then, of course, the float assets are of interest. So as it relates to the exercise on site, like Honolulu and surrounding areas, we'll have a variety of options. But again, because we're putting together a global network, if your capability you're submitting really can't be moved, we can still include you into the global network as an opportunity.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike, kind of quick follow-up to that. For the locations with power and air conditioning, do they have like high bay doors for us to haul larger equipment in, or is it like kind of a normal like lab space?
No, high bay capabilities.
Thank you.
And I apologize, I had a call just briefly there, but again, we're also looking for shipboard capabilities, not just shore. So, we need to be prepared to plug into standard ship capabilities. I don't know if that was mentioned or if But there is the ashore piece, but there's also a great deal of a float piece. Over.
Yeah, Chris, thanks for that. And on the shipboard piece, though, there because we didn't get the credentialing or whatever. I'm assuming that infers a containerized solution, so it can be plugged in properly.
Likely, yes, that'll be the easiest path.
And is there an expansion on the shipboard opportunities outside of the Portland? So in other words, do you have numerous ships that would like to receive a containerized solution, or you don't know yet?
Yes, yeah, different size ships and multiple ships that are still looking for solutions.
Thank you.
Okay, Ethan, I believe Tim had a question.
Tim, go for it.
Yes, yeah, got a couple. Thank you. Is there a minimum build volume for the large format printer that you'd like to address?
There's nothing been defined requirements wise for that, so no.
Okay. And then also, what anticipated test conditions and evaluation metrics for the printed parts? Can you share anything like that, or do you have something documented that you're going to be evaluating or testing under?
No, so it's no specific part that we're targeting, that we're evaluating against. Everything we do is really focused on delivering a part that can be accepted by a commanding officer or a program office. And so we're trying to set conditions to get the highest quality parts out of it in order for someone to get to an easy yes. So we work in two different ways. For those of you who haven't ever operated with us, we do some pre-planned things. So we know the parts that we're going to be working on, and we can, I don't want to say game the game, but we can do better pre-planning in order to get a higher success rate. And there are just as many occurrences of on-demand requests, things we didn't even think of, that a ship's commander or a shore base commander says, I really, really need this right now. For this particular platform, and we do everything in our power to service this. But it's not experimental things that'll never get used in the real world. We really focus on real readiness solutions.
Okay, thank you. And one last one, for the 12-foot hull example that you gave in the large format printer category, can you clarify where that hulls it would be intended for surface or subsurface application?
Surface for now. That's all we would look at your subsurface as a nice to have, but we're focused mainly on surface.
Okay, thank you. Over.
Okay, then there are a couple questions in the chat right now. I'll read those out, and please continue to drop them in or raise your hand as we go. Question from Jerry. Can you share what standard shipboard utilities consist of, electrical and other requirements?
That's a great question. So typically it's a standard plug for the afloat assets, 440 power. It varies between 50, 100, 200 amps. And then we typically coordinate with OEMs to decide, what size transformer do you actually need, and help you work out, here's the plug that you need to show up with. And we often have to plan for multiple scenarios where your equipment could go on a ship, but the next week we may move it ashore and we need to plug it into a generator or shore power. So we work with you to help create that flexibility with having the right cabling and the right connectors in order to support true expeditionary operations.
And just to add on to that, I know Ethan has been working on a little cheat sheet on basically what makes a printer easy to put on board a ship and off, that has some of that information, which, if approved by the government team, should be shareable in the near future. So that it's not a answer to everything, but it is as general as we can make it to get aboard a ship, because there's obviously every ship is different. There's unique considerations for everything, but this is just a general guideline. Next question that was in the chat from Hugo. Could you please further develop the types of parts and sizes you're interested in for the large format printer? End parts, spare parts, tooling, boats, etc. So kind of going back to that large format and uncrewed surface vessel discussion.
Yeah, so when you think about repair parts, we've had everything come in like, I need an entire hatch for a door. So think 2 foot by 4 foot. and slightly larger. We've had large scale valves for ships, so think 2 foot cubed maybe. We've had
window covers for the helos.
yeah, large format polymer, so 1.5 by 1.5 requests have come in before. And then everything up to like surface vessels, so think a 20-foot speedboat sort of a deal. So we've seen a big variety of things that come in, and I know that's highly ambiguous for you as an attendee of this meeting, but we do get a large variety of requests that come in, and then our job is to service those and triage and see what we can support based on the network that we've built up.
Thank you. Then a programmatic question from Patrick Tucker. The white papers are due on 5 February. I believe it's actually 6 February is what I see on the website. Ethan, can you correct me if I'm wrong?
Should be 6 February, but let me go confirm that right now, Patrick.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then a question from Thomas. Is the effort more focused on full component fabrication, or are repair sustainment activities also of interest? I'll tee that one up for Michael.
Yeah, Thomas, great question. What organization are you with? Thomas still on the call?
Throw it in the chat if you don't have voice com, please.
So Thomas, to answer your question, there's actually been a lot of traction on the repair side of the house for a number of different reasons. If I have to completely fabricate the part, not only does it take more time and money and approvals, it's way more cost effective if we can, say, grind down some material on a failed component, lay down more material, and then bring it back to specs. It's also really sped up approvals. People feel a lot more comfortable with that. So we have numerous instances of doing repairs with cold spray, wire DED, in order to support that. So you'll see a lot of examples because of the economies that you get out of it.
Thank you, Michael. And Thomas is with Titanic USA, a cold spray provider.
Yeah, excellent question. Thanks, Thomas.
And Ethan confirmed white paper submissions are due 2/6 at 1700 Pacific.
Thank you.
Samantha, question.
Hi there. Thank you so much for sharing this opportunity. I know it's really exciting for the usual suspects on this call. And I might have some dumb questions, so please forgive me. One is in regards to RIMPAC and some of those global or national level exercises. Should we assume that on-site time would be 3 to 4 weeks?
No, you don't have to plan for that entire thing. So if your organization was selected for something, you may only be able to commit 3 to 4 days on site, but you might offer remote support. And we have folks that do completely remote and they're never on site. So you'll see a variety of that.
Yeah, the other thing is we don't. I know all the TR levels are going to be very high, but we don't want to build the capability of FSRs or field service representatives are the only ones that can operate this equipment. So normally, if selected, we would appreciate your participation at what you can handle to a certain degree, but we really want to school up warfighters to run the machines during the exercises. So we would probably match you with Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps personnel that would be your primary operators. You would be our reach back support, and could be reach back support from a different time zone is completely acceptable.
Yes, sir. Thank you for clarifying. Secondly, it's likely us and some others have a developed portfolio if we've been around for a while. Is it a fair assessment that we should submit separate white papers for different technologies, or one white paper that highlights all of our offerings?
I'll push that to Ethan and Morgan.
So that somewhat depends. If there's somebody who's in this meeting right now, then you guys can do a combined white paper for it. And you can just push that out, I think, right now. If not, there's a tiny little bit of extra paperwork you need to do. It's literally like 2 lines on an Excel spreadsheet, which just ping me or ping Ethan or ping the info@fleetworks.org email with a request for that, and I can get that out to you.
Apologies. So for example, if we had, say, a TPS printer as well as material extrusion via filament or flake or pellet, in addition to a containerized offering, would those be separate white papers or just one white paper?
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought they were separate offerings from separate organizations, but if it's all yours, I would say probably put it into one white paper and put all 3 of them in there. I think that will probably make it easiest to get these quickly and concisely graded and out.
I
And
appreciate
Morgan,
that.
if I could just add 2 things. One, sort of a meeting SOP, please. Samantha, I see your name, but I have no idea who you're with. So please, as you present questions and speak, just throw out your company name so we know who we're talking to. The second thing I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Morgan, is this is a 3-page paper, correct?
You are correct, sir.
So with that being said, I would say if you can squeeze something very interesting into 3 pages, but you end up feeling like a lot is left out, you might want to split it up, right? So if you just can't get exactly what you want across in 3 pages, arguably you could split it up and make it a separate technology and we could take a look at it. I don't want 150, I don't want your whole catalog of offerings. It needs to be relevant, but I don't think we are strict adjudicators. I mean, I did get some crazy stuff in the past, and I just honestly, I'll push past it if it's nowhere in my swim lane or of what we asked. But this is an opportunity, so I know you guys want to get what you can in front of us.
Yes, sir. That's really helpful. We'll keep that in mind. This is Samantha from Re3D. For context,
Okay.
apologies for not introducing myself. And then just last question in regards to polymers, and I'm hoping someone else is interested in this question. Is there a specific class of polymers that is most requested? For example, like polyolefins versus, a carbon fiber solution with a polymer binder versus like PLA?
No, there's not a huge. We'll prototype a lot in PLA, but for an end use material, it might be an ABS or ASA or a TPU if you need a flexible, things like that. So a little bit more towards engineering materials is probably what we're going for.
And I would add, there's a fine line between proposing for spare parts and proposing for hulls. So survivability and tradability, cost and speed are all going to be relevant to that. So if your material is not set for hulls and dissolves in salt water, probably not pushing that one out towards us as a concept for the whole piece, but more as a large format for spare parts instead. So I'll leave that to your engineering team to make sure you're putting the right material with the right possibilities.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, and then another question from Tim from Stratasys, I believe.
Yeah, looking again, a lot of this is obviously metals forward on some of those things. Will you all be, offering the possibility, let's say a metal replacement? I'm thinking of something like, a pump impeller that's dealing with caustic solutions or, fuels or, organic solvents and things like that. Because our engineering thermoplastic can handle that. Will there be any opportunity or we'll be able to see the parts to where, ahead of time we'd say, hey, this could be a good opportunity, for an OLTEM or, for a pack or a PEI.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we would consider that as under a mix between, depending on size, not large format and novel solutions.
We often come across this when we get part requests that come in that many times the materials we're printing in now are actually better than what they were at the OEM time. And so we're offering up the commander of the program office a better solution than they had before, but it does require an acceptance and, sometimes called a deviation from spec. That's okay. We help work through the programmatics piece. So if you've got a better solution than what was originally there, we help work and bring everybody together to try to get that approved.
Thank you. Over.
And as far as the parts preview piece, just maybe a little look underneath the kimono, shall we say, on how the process goes. I think last year for Trend Warrior 25, we had 740 some part requests, and those come in during, a couple weeks of the exercise. So it is highly probable that you're gonna get something in a day or two and have an order just flow in, and we'll try and pair the right capability with the right order, but there may be limited or no time to be able to preview what comes in. However, we also have a set of injects along the way. So we want to make sure that everybody at least has something where they can show off what their capability can do. So for those, you will probably get it in advance, but the actual true readiness solutions to get equipment back up and running will take precedence over those pre-planned, more notional production requests. And then I believe Spencer from Phillips had a question.
Spencer Crowley from Phillips Federal. For the hull piece on the large format, is there a specific hull design, or is that something that we need to kind of get example pieces pulled together?
No, nothing pre-planned at this time of a specific shape or whatever that's out there.
Okay, copy. Thank you.
All right, and then a question in the chat from David from Cohesive Robotics. Are there any certifications or IT requirements for the solutions that we submit?
It really depends on where it's temporarily installed or placed. So each base or ship has some of their own unique requirements, and we kind of deal with that as is. But we've got a number of different reps and sets doing that, so we'll help you through that process should those issues come up.
Yeah, and I would add just a little more color, if you're not IL5 certified and have all the CMMC and all that stuff, NPS is, I think their network is IL4 and they're on their .edu domain. So there is a little bit of additional flexibility in how they can run these kind of events versus how a lot of other government organizations can. I won't dig too deeply into the IT woods because that is far from my area of expertise, but just want to let you guys know there's a little bit of additional flexibility. So if you're worried about having the right IT certification, I would say still submit anyway. If you're selected, we will do our best to make it work. And then a question from Patrick Tucker from Phillips.
Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, just to kind of hit down on the timeline a little better. And then I know, Mike, the one flexibility enabler is.
Hey, I see a hand up, Patrick. Please go ahead.
Can you not hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, for the timeline on the machines that we offer, I know you got a flexibility enabler of, hey, you could even do it from afar, like let's say back in Conus while you're in Hawaii. But generally, if it's going to be on site, what timeline were you looking for machines to be available? Because I'm kind of assuming it's mainly about RIMPAC, Trident Warrior, but I'm not sure. It sounds like there's other exercise. So what's your preference on the timeline of machine availability towards the white paper offer that we're submitting?
So there's a couple different scenarios for this. If it's going to end up being out in Hawaii, I would say target basically Memorial Day to have your equipment ready to go, and we'll help work the logistics of likely getting it out to San Diego for final transit.
The only thing I would say to that is obviously that date doesn't is not relevant if you are in the distributed node staying stateside. The exercise, I would say, starts. You could stay if we want to integrate you into maybe some Valiant Shield as a warm start, and then Trident Warrior. I would say late June, being able to tag you in and running through the end of July.
Thank you.
And maybe Ethan, if you could kind of go over a little bit more in color on there based on your project planning for the solutions that are coming out to Hawaii?
Yes, I would say the ready to go May 31st, bottom line, transit in June, and then set up early July is what I'm tracking right now. Obviously, a huge part of this is we're trying to stay agile, and so things might be in flex. That's our current target. Also, just one thing I did want to bring up, we do have a separate exercise called GIFIX, and we're hoping that we can bring in selections to help proof out their machines. That happens at Camp Roberts and will occur the first month of May.
So is there an option then to that point, Ethan, as to having a machine that participates in GIFX and then makes its way down to San Diego for participation or Impact Trident Warrior?
Yes.
Yeah, I would add that that has been a desire for some time to find a way to incorporate GIFXs into the cycle, and I think we desperately want to do that. So if we can get you, you know, your time with us would start hands-on as early as May. It doesn't mean you're not qualified if you can't make it to GIFX. I'll make that clear. But it would be a nice to have. And a
Thank
good
you.
thing for you. Hopefully.
Yeah, historically, we've had several times where folks have put together a good solution, taken it out to Hawaii, and then we realize, okay, none of the people there are trained up on exactly this type of software that they've used for their equipment, and we have to kind of rapidly adjust. There are a lot of little things that crop up when you're kind of handing your baby off to a bunch of sailors and Marines to utilize. So GIFIX is a good opportunity to work out some of those kinks a little bit earlier.
That's
And
an
then
important point to double down on here a little bit on the training piece here. So the users that you should expect will be hands-on with your equipment are competent, have experience in advanced manufacturing. You're not starting from somebody who knows nothing about a 3D printer in most instances. But we try to stack the deck in our favor because we need success on the equipment. So we have sort of a warm-up period that happens ahead of the exercise where people get hands-on. Oftentimes, that's a good time to have a field rep that's out there in person to make sure everybody is comfortable with the system. We've checked its operation. We've got the right consumables with it so that we can have success during the actual exercise. So be thinking about what your requirements for training would be as well.
All right, and then Tim has a follow-on question.
I think Patrick's hand was up before mine.
I have you as number 1 on my screen and Patrick as number 2.
That's fine.
So I think
I'll
you
shoot
just
then.
beat him.
Obviously, on some of our current equipment, we've already got a pretty good, penetration within, Nav Air, Nav Sea, Air Force. With some of these things, is it something that, if we, come up with things, or that would they be considered to be run at those facilities that already have our equipment?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we incorporate program of record systems across the Joint Force. So if it's available and we've incorporated them in a network, you should absolutely expect that those systems will be working.
Thank you. Over.
All
right, and then Patrick.
Yeah, as it relates to the timeline, you're saying May, and then as far as lift goes, we're looking at these things coming back, late July, or do we know?
We don't have a clear answer yet, but likely retrograde would be that first week of August.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, gripes, complaints? Well, I did have one alibi that I want to throw in there before I turn it back to Ethan to close out and the government team. Just to add a bit of a disclaimer as far as the general scope of this project. Be thinking about the funding levels that will be provided in terms of something that will help you guys get your equipment out to Hawaii, participate for the exercise, defray some of those costs, make it easier for you to participate. It's not going to be along the lines of developing a new prototype system or building something from scratch. Just want to make sure that everybody's expectations are clear and there's no mismatch there. And then I believe Patrick had another question.
Yeah, the operators from the companies, like I know in 24 at least, we actually had operators from the company. Going back to Mike's point, we got a lot of experienced Marines and sailors, get it. But as it relates to the technology we provide, is there an expectation or not that there'd be an operator from the company there to help with that? I know we did that in 24.
I mean, the goal is to definitely get to the point where you don't have to do that. But I would say during that warm-up period, it's always helpful to have somebody on site to make sure everything is working properly and people feel comfortable with your system, but certainly not a requirement.
Yeah, it's along the same lines of what we pushed to Samantha earlier. What we've done in the past is say, you know, this is your chance. You certainly don't want to hand it off to Marines without doing everything you can to make sure that we know how to handle the system when we get it out there. We don't want to fumble the ball for you. So we need to make sure you as a company are feeling comfortable with the level of support so that your technology delivers as you'd like to see it deliver.
And then going back to Morgan's point, we're not really looking at a new capability. We're looking at a current capability being employed in a innovative way as it relates to your resourcing availability.
And Morgan, I don't want to speak for you, but I think what he was alluding to, it's okay if you have something new and different, but if you're asking for FleetWorks to pay for the development of your new system, I don't think that's in the budget of what he's trying to accomplish.
Okay, that clarifies.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, if you're willing to build a new prototype out of your own company budget, that's perfectly fine. Just if you're coming into this thinking there's going to be, $5 million in 3 years to develop something for this, that's not really in the cards. Okay, 2 more questions. One from Brett Connor.
Hello, just wanted to circle back on the comment earlier about expertise of the workforce here. Just to clarify for everybody, you're not talking about somebody who's going to be a master machinist or a master metal AM expert or something like that. They'll have some familiarity with those things, like maybe familiarity with desktop printer or something like that, but not necessarily deep expert. Just want to make sure that that's right.
Yeah, Dr. Connor, good to see you. Yes, I think we will have some of those folks on site, but for your planning efforts, you should plan on that we have a moderately trained sailor or Marine who knows advanced manufacturing, does machining, that would be operating the system, not somebody who we pulled off the street and we're trying to train from square one. And the majority of folks are not the master machinists or master's material scientists that are participating. Somewhere in the middle.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Then I have a question from Samantha. I'm going to follow with one in the chat from Jerry and then Spencer as third. Go ahead, Samantha.
Yes, sir. I'm an officer in the Air Force and I don't speak Navy, so I'm not quite sure what the logistics are with this. You'll have to help me out. But say our containerized system was selected to be put on a ship boat. In terms of having that field tech or operator out there, would they then have to be with the hardware for the entire time, or or are they even permitted to go on board?
Yeah, we've had civilians on board ships before, so we can help coordinate the manpower piece. During that warm-up period, we would try to get people spooled up as much as possible. And if your company is not able to commit to an extended time frame, that's totally understandable. And we work around those manpower details. So we have got a lot of experience in that and can help you through it.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a hybrid kind of. We cannot give you an answer right now. One, we don't know the technology. Two, we don't know what ship the best technology that technology might be best suited to go on. So it would be hybrid.
Thanks for clarifying.
All right. Question from Jerry from Speed 3D, I believe, in the chat. Final question. What is the goal of the output of the exercise? Demonstrate capability, identify capability to acquire, or something separate?
You're going to have a lot of folks looking at your technology if you're selected for this, especially during the exercise period. This is one of the largest military exercises in the globe. You've got 30 plus countries that are going to be attending that'll have visibility on these capabilities. So I'm freaking excited about this event, and Chris is too. This is a huge opportunity to do some really cool stuff and push the needle forward that hasn't been done before. So it's a great opportunity for this. I believe the overall goal is we want to demonstrate to the joint force decision makers on the operational side and on the acquisition side, here's a really fantastic capability you might not have seen before that delivered a readiness solution that you needed. So we try not to play in the theory space. We try to stay in the practical space and deliver something that somebody really needs.
Yeah, final answer is D, all of the above. We were really looking to either accelerate technology that's already in the phases of adoption within the DoD, and introduce new technologies that may be still in labs, but haven't gotten out to the fleet yet to figure out if they needed additional help to get across a commander's decision point and make it iterate faster. So.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the way I
Sorry, Mark.
generally explain it to folks, because we get a lot of questions on, well, how many TDPs have you guys qualified? How many parts have you produced in the last year? That's usually not the goal of these exercises. It's more of, if we were in a fight tonight in the Indo-Pacific, in a high intensity conflict, how could we tie together all the resources that are with military, on government side, at different universities, and what is available in the private sector to make sure that we're keeping our forces operational and ready. And as part of that, we kind of report up to our sponsors, hey, here are all the technologies that we I won't say evaluated, because that has a term of art connotation that I don't want to necessarily imply, but here are all the technologies that we had participate. They produced X, Y, and Z. This was the scrap rate. This is how many fit. And just make sure that our sponsors are aware of what's out there. So it's your opportunity to show to them, and then also to all the press, all the high level stakeholders, all those foreign military folks who are out at these exercises, what you guys are able to do, and tie you into this network that we're building out here. I will turn things over to Spencer because he had another question.
Thanks. Last kind of string of questions from me. One for the trainers for the on-site, to get the Marines and the sailors trained up on our equipment. What were the ideal date ranges for that?
It's a good question. Likely sometime in the early June period. Once we have a little bit more finalized details on, for example, if things get loaded on ship and going on transit. It could be on the front end here in the States. It could be when it arrives in Hawaii ahead of the exercise. So we have not defined that period yet.
No, I would say it could. Well, I don't want to say no earlier than JIFX, but it could be at any time. Like if you have your equipment ready at a certain location, it's not embarked yet, and on a TT heading to San Diego, and you have a white space that we can put Marine sailors, soldiers, civilians on travel and come out to you, we can do it there. I think we did that 2 years ago. So it's really a hard question with all the moving variables, Spencer.
I appreciate that, though. It's good for me to know that we can train in San Diego or on the island. I'm assuming the on island would be probably late June, early July for training if we had to target those dates.
That's a good guess.
Okay. Thank you. The next question I had was, are we focused entirely on just manufacturing, or was there room for also like autonomous technology or unmanned demos during the exercise?
There is an experiment that we're leading that has to do with autonomous systems. So
but that's a different OSS.
Yeah, so it's separate from this particular initiative.
Okay, I might ping you outside of this then on that one.
But
That OSS
in,
will be on January
There you go.
26th.
Okay.
And then before I get to the question in the chat there, just following up on something Morgan was talking about, I think one of the things that Chris and company has done that's unique is about operationalizing advanced manufacturing. It's great that you've got a printer that can print in your lab and do really cool stuff. What we really help you with is get you past the lab and into the operational environment. How are you going to plug it in with the joint force? How are you going to supply consumables when you're in remote areas? How are you going to package it up for transit and a variety of different platforms? We help you think through a lot of those things that allows you to be more adoptable by the joint force. So operationalizing advanced manufacturing is something key that Camry and company does.
I can also, I'm not going to chime in on that, but I'll close that one out and say to Tom's next question. Yeah, extended reality, augmented reality is a large part of what we're doing going forward. So if you have those kind of novel capabilities that you've already built into your offerings, please place that inside of your white paper so that we're aware of that.
And then Samantha, I am grabbing the link to sign up for that question and answer session
I'm
right
sending
now.
it right now.
Okay. Ethan's already ahead of me, as usual.
And I believe Thomas or Jerry, Thomas had a question. Would an augmented reality goggle set be permitted for use during operation of supplied equipment to facilitate operator efficiency? Or are there restrictions on auxiliary wireless technology being utilized during this event?
Yeah, I already answered that, Ethan. I think. Hopefully, Tom, you caught my answer. Yeah, I think Tom caught it. I see he said thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Sorry.
I'm not gonna, and Spencer, I'm just not gonna get into differences between one exercise and the other. We're focused on this particular objective strategy session and meeting the requirements of this one, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to get into I appreciate that. I just wanted to see what the takeaways were from 24 to see if there was any big changes.
The changes are the scope and scale has gotten tremendously bigger from 24, which is sort of hard to believe. But yeah, we've got some really fantastic opportunities in 26, and this is going to be absolutely critical for the joint force to get really good at this, to help give them resiliency and redundancy and traditional supply chains that they may not have had before.
Appreciate it. That's what I was expecting. Thank you.
Bigger and better, right? Any other
More
questions
better,
or comments?
more cowbell.
All right. Looks like we don't have any more questions. We'll say I'll throw our info email in the chat. So if anything else comes up, please email us there. And just to review the timeline, so we're again looking at November 6th, no later than 1700 Pacific time for the white paper submission. So following that, we will review. I'm expecting it to take 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the reviewer's bandwidth, and then we'll be able to shoot out the results after that.
All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Ethan, we'll see you back on the TR.
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.